Hey everybody, it's Willa Ball with Step 1 HR Consulting. I've got a question for you that's going to set the stage for today's training. The question is, what is the most common factor between these 5 employment processes? Number 1, the job posting. Number 2, the job description. Number 3, goal setting. Number 4, the performance evaluation. And number 5, the disciplinary process. The answer to the most common factor, if you're the employer, is each of these 5 steps or 5 processes give you the opportunity to provide clarity to your employees on what's expected of them in the role. Okay? If you're the employee, each of these 5 steps also provides an opportunity to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what's expected of you in the role. And so here's what happens a lot of the times is companies don't set these 5 processes up to talk to one another. It's a huge gap, and I'm going to tell you why. That's what today's training is all about. Why is it important that all 5 of these processes contain the same context? They don't contain the same content, but they do and should contain the same context. Okay? So think about it. Step 1, I'm an applicant and I'm considering coming to work for you, and I look at a job posting. Okay? This job posting for an employer is the first opportunity to let that employee or applicant know this is what you're signing up for. It's the first opportunity, but so much of the time we rush through the job posting, right? We don't provide enough content. It's maybe too generic, okay? You don't want to create a job posting that is so specific that you lessen your candidate pool too much, but you also want to make sure it is specific enough that there are no questions on day 1 for that employee. Wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for, okay? Step 2, the job description. On the very first day that new employee arrives, again, they've already applied through the job posting, so they have a good idea. They've gone through the interview process, so they have a good idea of what they've signed up for. But when they arrive on day 1, if that job description that they receive does not have the same clarity or does not have the same descriptions of the position's responsibility, that's the first opportunity for confusion. And it also begins to lessen the credibility of the hiring manager, maybe even of the company. So it's so important that whatever you put in that job posting then begins to bleed over into what's in the job description. Okay, in the job description, you have the opportunity to outline, again, the summary of the job. You outline the essential functions of the job. You outline physical requirements of the job, travel requirements of the job, and basic expectations for behaviors in a position. Okay? If they don't speak to one another, it's that first step to allow confusion. Thirdly, again, the employee already has gone through the applicant process with the job posting. The employee has received their job description. So let's say you create performance goals that have absolutely nothing to do with the job description or the job posting. This is a significant problem, and so many companies do this. They build performance goals that are completely either against or don't marry up at all to the job description. One of 2 things is wrong here. Either the job description is actually wrong and you need to go back and look at the description again, or you're setting the wrong goals against what you actually need. And so it's critically important, if you don't set the right performance goals that then contextually marry up to the job description and what that person applied for via the job posting, again, more opportunity for confusion. 4th, the performance evaluation. Okay, if an employee sits down to a performance evaluation and the context and the content of the actual eval or evaluation form does not speak to, this was what you said my goals were. My goals were supposed to be tied to my job description. This isn't what I signed up for, okay? That's what that leads to if that doesn't look right, if there's not a flow of context between all 4 of these stages. So when you sit down and you write a performance evaluation and you then have the oral discussion of the performance evaluation, you have to make sure that those pieces and those points are tied to the goals, which should have then been tied to the job description, which should have been tied to the job posting, which is what the applicant applied for. Okay? And the last step is the disciplinary process. If you're going to bring an employee in and you're going to write them up, pink slip, coach, whatever the term is that you use in your disciplinary process, it does not matter. The disciplinary process should be completely tied to the evaluation, to the goals you set for that person, to the job description you provided them on day 1, and to the posting that they applied for as an applicant. So hopefully you're seeing a pattern here. The challenge I'm giving you is that most companies do not connect the dots on the importance of alignment between these 5 processes in an employee's life cycle, okay? It's so important because what ends up happening is that employee continues to feel like this isn't what I signed up for, this isn't what you told me. It breeds ground and leaves room for lack of credibility in all of these processes, lack of trust, lack of ownership, because I didn't sign up for this, okay? It also is extremely confusing. So if you're going to sit somebody down and you're going to write them up or coach them, I'll give you an example. So you want to be able to say in that discussion, remember whenever we sat down for your evaluation a few months ago, and we talked specifically about this issue. You haven't improved that issue over the last 3 months. In addition to that, it's on your job description. Okay? And when we hired you a couple of years ago, we made it clear in that process that this was the expectation in this particular role. So here's the problem. If you get to disciplinary action and you can't say that, and you as the employer cannot feel comfortable that you set the stage for success, then in my opinion, that's on you. So you have to be sure. Again, the content will look different in all 5 of these stages, but the context should be very, very similar. So that when you're having conversations from interview to day 1 on the job, you got your job description, to here's your performance goals for the year, to here's how you did on those performance goals and the performance review, to you're failing, here's a disciplinary action, right? You want all of those things to marry up so that they make sense, okay? And so that's my message to you today. If you need some support in talking through how do we do this, I've had lots of opportunity in my career to sit down with leaders and sit down with business owners and actually take their existing processes, jumble them all up, and make sure that they're aligned, okay? It is possible, and it's actually the best way to keep clarity, not only for yourself as the employer, but for the employee on what's expected in the position. Give us a call, 479-657-0430. You can email me directly with questions or to set up time to talk about this at willa@step1hr.com. You can also visit our website at step1hr.com for additional services that we offer. And certainly look at the description in this video for additional tools and resource links. Until next time, thank you.